Chicago is preparing for the political world to descend on its city for the first time in over 2 decades. The Democratic National Convention in Illinois. For convention goers, it's considered a homecoming. This year marks the 26th political convention that they'll be hosting in the land of Lincoln. The next most popular city is Baltimore, who's hosted 10 throughout American history. The Windy City last hosted the DNC in 1996, where President Bill Clinton was nominated, and the Macarena dominated the halls at the United Center, which will be the same building as this year's convention. 96 was considered a huge success compared to Chicago's previous experience being the host city in 1968, where chaos filled the convention halls and the city's streets as the Democratic Party was split on their nomination. While those two may be the most recent, there are plenty of significant conventions that the city hosted to understand the country's past. That's according to Paul Durica, who's the director of exhibitions at the Chicago History Museum.
Perhaps purely by chance, Chicago's happened to host a couple of conventions that seem to have occurred at what now we could say are inflection points in American history. I'm thinking of the first convention that was held here in 1860. I mean, the country's unraveling at the seams, civil war seems imminent, and Republicans gather here to pick their candidate. He's a one-term congressman from Illinois by the name of Abraham Lincoln. And as we know, Abraham Lincoln ends up winning the nomination. He goes on to win the presidency, and he becomes the president to serve during the Civil War and is instrumental in helping not only to win that war for the Union, but to keep the Union together.
Durica says the city also hosted a convention at another historically significant time, during the Great Depression, where then New York Governor Franklin Delano Roosevelt was nominated to defeat the incumbent Herbert Hoover.
And it's at this convention in 1932 that Roosevelt bucks tradition. On the last day, he flies from Albany, New York to Chicago to accept the nomination in person. And there he pledges himself to a new deal for the American people, basically promising that the government will be robust in its response to the crisis that was the Great Depression.
During the 4 conventions that FDR was nominated for the presidency, 3 of them took place in Chicago.
The 2024 Democratic National Convention has the potential, like an 1860 convention or a 1932 convention, to really kind of shape the future of this country. So what we can imagine kind of coming out of this convention is the opportunity for a woman to become president of the United States, for a woman of color to become president of the United States. But what's going to be unfolding in August here in Chicago will certainly help to kind of set that potential direction.